Hi, I'm Dan Allford.
And I'm Bexar Thurman.
Bear's an intern for us this summer. We've never had a finance student as an intern. You're the first.
I am. I'm really excited.
So, what I keep asking you for, actionable intelligence. I don't need a report. I need something that we can do something with. So, tell us what you've done today.
So I've been working to create an inflation-adjusted calculator so that we can make up-to-date pricing for our robots.
And so you ran a couple of examples for me.
Okay, so I ran examples. The first one is I looked at a job from 2015 where we sold an ARC 5 PL. And so in 2015, we sold that for about $145,000. Now, we recently sold one for $220,000, and that's about a 45% increase. Now, when I ran it through the calculator, it showed that with inflation adjusted, the $145,000 original price would be about $211,000 today.
So did we overcharge?
By about $9,000.
Well, that's if it was only inflation, but we've added functionality to the machine, so you know.
Added value, but yes. So we are pricing it right, but it's a good thing to use to check and make sure that we're meeting the price of inflation and we're not undercosting our robots.
And what was the other example we went with?
So the other example was for a job that was $250,000 or sold for $250,000 in 1984. So this is pretty much as far back as
This
the
is my
calculator
first job
could
I
go.
did way back. This was for a plutonium plant in Idaho. I didn't get the whole $250,000. That's just the price of the job. I built the machine, but that's as far back as I could remember.
Right. So a job priced at about $250,000 in 1984 ends up being $640,000 in today's inflation-adjusted dollars. So that's kind of interesting to see that it's more than doubled in the cost if you were to adjust for inflation.
Yeah, what's the rule of 72? You divide the interest rate by 72, and that's how long it takes to double. So 72 divided by 2%, because that's the Fed's target inflation rate.
Yeah, 2%.
Right, so that means prices, if the Fed has their way, that's the Federal Reserve,
Right.
has their way, prices are going to double every 36 years.
That's true.
Is that a good thing?
I mean, it depends on how you're looking at it. Economically, you want the economy to grow, so inflation at 2% is targeted, or else the economy wouldn't be growing. But, you know, for consumers, if wages are not increasing with that, then you're losing your buying power.
So my impression of inflation is it's a tax. Anybody that's on a fixed income or it has savings ends up losing money.
Yes, if you don't get a 2% increase on your income every year. So, or an inflation-matched increase, I should say. It's not always 2%.
But it's beneficial to people with assets and with debt.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just talking to a finance guy. I'm curious how this stuff works.
Well, I'm no expert, but I mean, ideally for our side of things with the machines is you want to be matching inflation. And that's not a rigid rule, but it's something to keep in mind, because if we sold a machine in 2015 for $145,000 and we never increase the price, we're going to be making less money because the dollar is valued at less. Things like copper, steel, those are all going to be increasing in price as the years goes on. So in that 10-year span, our profit margin will be decreasing the same, even though the sticker price would theoretically still be the same, but you'd be losing money.
All right, so ARC Specialties builds machines that improve efficiency, which reduce costs, which reduce prices, which is deflationary, isn't it?
For the consumer, or?
Yeah. So our machines build stuff quicker, faster, and so that's deflationary. So that means we're going against what the Federal Reserve wants to do. Does that make us like an enemy of the state or anything?
No, I would say they're more efficient. It's boosting the economy, increasing GDP. So I think that's a plus.
No, I've lived my whole life trying to make things more efficient and cost less. I find it ironic. See, I'm not a big fan of inflation, if you haven't picked up on it. No, this is a great tool you gave us. You know, it's a great sanity test. So if we don't have any hard data on recent stuff, we can go back and look at an old price and say, well, if it was just inflation that's occurred, here's the new price.
Right. It's not a rigid rule to follow, but it's something to keep in mind, and you definitely would want to be able to have a tool like this to check before you do give a final sales price. Of course, there's other factors like the budget that the customer's working with, what competitors are pricing at, have they increased their prices, because ultimately you do want to have a competitive price, but it is good to know that so that you're able to give a good estimate for your sales price.
So if somebody's interested in your spreadsheet, how can they get a copy?
I guess I could send it to them, but internally, everyone should be able to have access to it.
No, the people that are listening to our blog here.
I think I'd be able to send it to them. This spreadsheet specifically references a certain subsection of FRED data, which is the Federal Reserve economic data for machinery manufacturing. So if you were looking at this and you had a business in, say, the textile industry, it wouldn't be as industry specific, but there's a way that you could set it up to where it would target that specific market niche and be more accurate for you. But if you're within machinery manufacturing, definitely this could be a helpful tool.
And so you use a consumer price index?
I don't. I actually use the producer price index, which focuses on a different section of the supply chain. The consumer price index, which I believe is what we use traditionally to kind of get a rough estimate for inflation and how to price our machines. That's looking at what consumers pay for things like eggs and services, like Uber and stuff like that, and paying for rent. Whereas the producer price index is what producers are selling goods at. And so you're looking at different sections of the economy, and the CPI doesn't always move parallel to PPI. Now, typically it does because the economy, moves as a whole, but the producer price index is more sensitive, it's more volatile, and it's said to be a better indicator for economic trends. So that's what I chose to use because they also have a specific data set that you could look at that's more relevant to our niche in the industry.
Makes sense to me. So finally, we have some actionable intelligence from our young intern. We've got something that we can use to help us adjust prices for inflation. It's been great.
Yep, I'm really glad. I'm happy to help.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.